Hello everyone, this is Luxury PL38. Today's video I would like to do a comparison, review, and also my first impressions of the Louis Vuitton tiny backpack. And as you can see from the video right now, this is the Palm Spring Mini and this is the tiny backpack. So they're virtually very similar, and amazingly this is actually smaller than the Palm Spring, as you can see from here, and you can't actually fit in as much as the Palm Spring Mini, because we all know that the Palm Spring Mini actually holds quite a few items, quite a lot of items actually. One advantage that I noticed with the tiny backpack, if you actually look at the hook, the D-rings at the back of it, there are two at the top. I know you're supposed to use the two strap from here to here and the other one from here to here. So that's how you're supposed to hook it up. But I actually hook up both the top bits together, and that makes it so much more versatile because I can use this as a waist bag or a belt bag, which I try, and it does fit accordingly because you can adjust the strap, and definitely it is more versatile. You can use this as a crossbody shoulder bag, or the one that it is meant to be the backpack, and you can also use this as a waist or a belt bag, and which is what I'm actually doing at the moment. And it is one of the huge advantage that I actually find is because, yes, you can try using this as a belt bag, but the position of the two D-rings here at the top, it is very awkward, that it does look a little bit awkward if you use this as a belt bag, but it is still doable. This one, however, the tiny backpack, it looks amazing as a belt bag. First of all, this is actually priced at 2,000 over Canadian dollars, and I am not happy with the fact that Louis Vuitton do not actually do a pre-treated fascetta leather, because as you can see, this is the fascetta leather for the strap, and the fascetta leather on that is also not pre-treated, so please expect patina effects over time. In comparison with the Petite Sac Plat that was out last year, they actually do a pre-treated fascetta leather, as you can see from here. So with that regards, I actually prefer it to be pre-treated, especially with the price tag that we pay for this. So let's do a few comparison in terms of the size wise before I'm gonna do a what fits. So this is virtually the same height as the Petite Sac Plat and the same length. And this is actually thicker than this, so technically this should hold more items than the Petite Sac Plat. However, the most shocking one is this is actually smaller than the Pochette Felicie. If you tilt it sideways, see how small it is. But if you look at the width, this is actually more than double the width of the Felicie, and that makes a point that you can definitely fit in more items in here as compared to here. However, there are certain limitations because of the height and the length. This is actually a little bit shorter, so if you are after items that are longer, you can't fit in there. And I just want to do a comparison with the Toiletry 19. This is the Toiletry 19. Toiletry comes in 15, 19, and 26. So this is the middle one, the 19. And if you do a comparison, I should probably lock this up. It's actually shorter. It's actually smaller than the Toiletry 19. So that goes to show how tiny this is, but the good news is it is, however, thicker than the Toiletry 19, so you can actually put in quite a fair bit because of that thickness. As a comparison, this is the mini pochette. I'm just going to put it over here, and for someone that are into Chanel, this is very similar to the mini square. In fact, the length are very, very close. If I tilt it that way, it is the same length or height. And if I put it that way, it is also the same height. So they're very similar. And if I tilt it this way, as you can see the thickness, they're very similar. So it's just that this is actually vertical, whereas this is horizontal. But if you tilt it like that, it is very similar. However, this actually goes upwards, and it goes much slimmer as it goes upwards as compared to the Chanel mini square. So in terms of size wise, they are very, very similar measurement wise. So with this particular tiny backpack, you have to note that there is stitches here that I'm not very happy with, the fact that Louis Vuitton uses stitching on the two corners, because let me just open it up. See how the stitches, it does not look very sturdy because of the stitching. I would prefer Louis Vuitton to use a button to actually lock it up, and you can unbutton it to expand it, but the way it is designed at the moment, it's actually with the stitching, and as you can see, the lower part of the stitches has loosened a little bit, because if you actually open it wider, it does make the stitching a little bit less secure. So that is the second part that I do not like about this particular bag. The first part is the fascetta leather, which is not treated. So just be mindful of those two things if you're interested in this. And just like the petite sac Plat, when it was launched a few seasons after, Louis Vuitton actually releases the petite sac Plat for the By the Pool collections. So I'm not sure if Louis Vuitton is going to support the tiny backpack for future collections, but they might actually release a different versions of it, such as the monogram, the classic monogram, or the damier versions of it, or the reverse monogram. We don't know. It depends on how popular the tiny backpack is. So let's get into the what fits in here. It does fit my largest phone, and this is my phone case. However, I just want to note that when you actually lock it up, you have to be mindful that it actually goes a little bit slimmer at the top, and that is the reasons why you cannot put the mini pochette. So if you look at it, the mini pochette, actually you need to put it sideways in order for this to fit in here, but because of the thickness of this, you can't close the flap, or you cannot lock it up. So that's the reasons why the mini pochette is not advisable to be used on this, especially with the stitching that on the side corners. If you actually put a thicker items in here, the stitching might not be very secure and might loosen over time. So I don't advise you to use a mini pochette on the tiny backpack because of that little width here that does not accommodate the mini pochette width. So let's have a look at what fits in here other than that. This is my phone case because I was using my phone, and I have a few lipstick and lip gloss, and this is the Victorian wallet from Louis Vuitton. I even put a zipper wallet from Louis Vuitton, and even the key clay from Louis Vuitton, and there is another lip balm. So as you can see, it does fit quite a few items, and you can definitely put your car keys on top of that as well. But let me just briefly show you the reasons why the mini pochette does not fit. Well, it does fit, but you have a hard time closing it, simply because the gap is too wide for it to be locked. See how it's not long enough? Simply because of that mini pochette. So that's the reasons why the mini pochette, you can put it in, but you just cannot lock it. It's just not long enough. You need to push it down, and it's not very practical. However, you are able to use a Chanel classic pouch if you have them, and you can definitely lock it up. And as you can see, you can even put your phone in here. So if you do have the Chanel pouch, you can definitely put in, and you can probably put in a few lipsticks or even a key clay. Let's see if that works. Actually, we'll see if that, yep. So yes, you can definitely put the Chanel Classic OKs, even though they're very similar in terms of that, simply because the mini pochette is much thicker than the OKs from Chanel. So if you do have any questions or comments, please do so in the sections below. And I absolutely love how tiny this is, and it is also very thick, so you can actually put in quite a few items. The limitation is simply just because of the top parts over here.